tells us that Mr. Fox said we had better take a peep upstairs now. So we have used the noun peep here, take a peep. Now, what does peep mean? Well, will it mean that Mr. Fox is going to go upstairs and have a good look around? Well, he's probably not, is he? Because what if he sees a farmer? That would be very dangerous, wouldn't it? So therefore, what might peep mean if it doesn't mean go upstairs and have a really good look around? Well, peep, as I said, is a noun and it means a quick look at something, okay? So he's not going upstairs and having a good look around. He's going to peep upstairs and have a quick look and then back down again so that nobody sees him. And they have used the phrase, take a peep. Now, peep has one syllable. Are you ready to clap it with me? 3, 2, 1, peep. Fantastic. And some synonyms for peep are look, glance. So if you glance at something, you quickly look at something and then you look the other way. And then peek, okay? If you have a peek at something, you have a quick look and then you look away, okay? So those two are synonyms. Those three are synonyms for peep, which means a quick look at something. And Mr. Fox in the story is having a peep upstairs to see what's up there. Now, we can use the word peep, the noun peep, in other contexts as well. So you could say, I took a peep at my birthday presents. So, for example, your parents might have your presents in another room and they've told you not to go in that room to have a look because your presents are in there, but you really want to see what you've got. So you're going to creep into the spare room and you're going to take a quick peep and then you're going to run out the spare room so that nobody sees you because they don't want you to have a look at your birthday presents. So there we go. We have used peep in another context, and in this context of the story we are looking at Mr. Fox, who wants to take a peep upstairs to see what's happening upstairs, and then he's going to come back into the hole that he has dug. Okay, now we're going to look at our next prediction question now. So here it says, I know where I want to be, but I can't possibly be sure we're anywhere near it. So our next question is based on what Mr. Fox might say. So it is, if Mr. Fox wasn't where he wanted to be, which of these quotes do you think he is most likely to say? Tick 1. Okay, so let's have a look at the key words in our question. So we have got Mr. Fox. So we're not looking at what Mrs. Fox would say or the farmers would say or the small foxes would say. We are looking at what Mr. Fox would say. And we are looking at what he is most likely to say. So not what he's least likely to say, what he's most likely to say. And then we have got tick 1. Okay, now if it says tick 1, year 2, are we going to tick 3? No, we're not. We're only going to tick 1. Okay, because if you tick more than 1, you won't get the mark. So it says, I give up. Let's return to the house. I'm not stopping until I get to where I want to go. I am too tired to carry on digging. So we need to tick one of these and then we need to explain why we have predicted this. Why have we predicted that Mr. Fox is most likely to say the quote that you have chosen? Well, let's have a look together at what's happened so far and what we already know. Well, we know that Mr. Fox and his family are very hungry. Okay, so if he isn't where he wants to be, is he just going to give up? Or is he going to keep going because he knows that his wife is at home and she's very weak from not eating? Because on one side, we have the danger. So the farmers might find them if they keep going, if they're out for too long. But then we have the other side that they're very hungry. And they, as I said, they have Mrs. Fox at home who is very weak. We also know that they really want to escape and that this is not the first time they have tried to escape. So therefore, if it's the second time or the third time that they've tried to escape, are they going to be very motivated? Are they really going to want to escape? Or are they going to think, I give up now, I've tried and nothing has worked? Okay, so now I want you to have a go at answering this question for yourself. So on your resource, which is called Year 2 Reading, 24th of February, Resource 2, you have this question, number 2. Now, when you have finished answering this question, and you can use some of what we've discussed together for your explanation of why you think he was most likely to say the quote that you choose. When you've finished having a go at writing your answer, come back to the video and we're going to carry on reading this chapter together. Okay, Year 2, so let's carry on. So we are now on page 39. Okay, so if you're following on your resource 1, we are on page 39. Slowly, wearily, the foxes began to slope the tunnel up towards the surface. Okay, now here we have the word wearily. Now, wearily is an adverb, okay, and we know that the foxes are very weak and they've been digging for a long time now, haven't they, to get to this point. So therefore, we can imagine that wearily has something to do with being tired, okay? And yes, it does. As I said, wearily is an adverb, and the definition is with extreme tiredness. So the foxes began to slope the tunnel up towards the surface, but while they were doing that, they were extremely tired. So they were probably quite weak, and they were doing it wearily, okay? And wearily has 3 syllables. Are you ready to clap it with me? 3, 2, 1, wearily. Fantastic. And some synonyms. Well, one synonym of wearily is tiredly. Okay, and an antonym, they are definitely not doing it energetically because they are so weak from not having any food to eat. Now, we have got it in the context here of Mr. Fox and the small foxes who are very tired and very weak because they've been digging and they haven't had anything to eat. But we can also use it in other contexts. So I wiped my eyes wearily and yawned as I tried to stay awake until New Year. So some people might find it very hard to stay up till 12 o'clock, especially if you're a child. So therefore, you would wipe your eyes wearily because you're very tired, okay? But you really want to stay up till New Year. So there's the word wearily, the adverb wearily in a different context. Okay, so let's keep reading. Up and up it went until suddenly they came to something hard above their heads and they couldn't go up any further. Okay, here it tells us that they came to something hard above their heads. So now I would like you to have a go at your next prediction question on your own. And your question says, what do you think they have found? So they've found something hard above their heads. So this is question 3 on resource 2. So please could you pause the video now and have a go at your prediction question. Okay, year 2, so let's carry on reading. Mr. Fox reached up to examine this hard thing. It's wood, he whispered. Wooden planks. Okay, my first it's wood definitely wasn't a whisper, was it? It's wood, he whispered. Wooden planks. Okay, so here it tells us that he's going to examine this hard thing. Now, he reached up to examine. So if he's putting his hand up, he's probably trying to work out what it is, isn't he? So therefore, examine is a verb, so it's something that he's doing, and it's to look at something carefully. And it has 3 syllables, examine. Okay, and some synonyms are inspect, so if you inspect something, or you study something. Okay, so there's some 2 synonyms for the word examine. Now, some antonyms for this word are ignore. Okay, so if you ignore something, you don't take a look at it. So he could have ignored the hard thing that he found above his head. But we also have glance, okay? So like we had the word peep earlier, where we look at something quickly. If you examine something, you look at it very carefully, okay? So it's actually an antonym for the word peep that we looked at earlier. Okay, and we also have overlook. So if you overlook something, you don't take any notice of it. You just carry on going. Okay, and he definitely didn't do that because he had a good look at what was above his head. Now, in this context, Mr. Fox is examining what he's found above his head, but we can use it as well in other contexts, such as they examined their options. So they had lots of options, maybe, for example, on a food menu. So they examined their options, okay? What are they going to have off the menu? And they looked very carefully at what was in each of the dishes, and then they made up their mind, okay? So they examined the menu. They examined their options of what they could have to eat. Okay, so let's have a go at reading the next part. Where am I? What does that mean, Dad? It means, unless I'm very much mistaken, that we are right underneath somebody's house, whispered Mr. Fox. Be very quiet now while I take a peep. So again, we've got, oh, he said take a peek this time. So he's used peep before, and now he's used peek, which is a synonym of peep. Okay, let's carry on. Carefully, Mr. Fox began pushing up one of the floorboards. The board creaked most terribly, and they all ducked down waiting for something awful to happen. Okay, now I would like you to have a go at your fourth prediction question now on resource 2, which asks you, do you think anyone will hear them? Okay, so it says that the boards creaked most terribly. Now, do you think that anyone is going to hear them? Use what we already know from the story to help you. Pause the video now and have a go. Okay, Year 2, did you make your prediction? Fantastic. So let's carry on. Nothing did. So Mr. Fox pushed up a second board and then, very, very cautiously, he poked his head up through the gap. So he's taking a peep, he's taking a peek. He let out a shriek of excitement. Okay, so this is the next question on your resource 2, which is, what do you think he found? So he let out a shriek of excitement. Why do you think that is? What do you predict he has found? Okay, so pause the video now and have a go at this question on resource 2. Okay, Year 2, fantastic. So you have finished your questions, your prediction questions for the book so far. Now, we have got one more question to answer on your resource 2, which is about what you think Mrs. Fox might be thinking while her husband and her children are out of the house and she's at the house on her own. Okay, so we've finished reading the chapter and completing the questions for the chapter, but now we're going to look even further. Okay, so we're not looking at Mr. Fox and the small foxes, we're looking at Mrs. Fox while this chapter is going on. Okay, so this is the end of our reading lesson for today. So if you could go and have a go at the last question about Mrs. Fox, that would be fantastic. And I will see you in our next reading lesson. Bye.